Bill O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News for Monday, August 8th, 2022. Stand up for your country. You know, there's been a culture war. I think I wrote Culture Warrior, my book, back in 2008. And there has been an intense culture war ever since. And people say it's divided 50-50 between progressive liberals and traditional conservatives. That's not really true, because there are so many Americans who don't know what's happening and don't really care what's happening. And they don't fall into either category. But for those who pay attention, I think the traditional side has a slight advantage. But I'm always amazed at the progressive liberal side because, as we're seeing now in our own daily lives, those policies don't work. They hurt individual Americans. And there's no two sides to that story. So one of the big culture war campaigns is going on right now, a war between the states, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So it's Texas and Arizona versus New York State and the District of Columbia. And it's all about the open border, undocumented migrants. Here are the facts. Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Arizona Governor Doug Ducey are putting undocumented migrants who are living in their states on buses and sending those buses to New York State and Washington, D.C. Both mayors are now screaming for relief. So Muriel Bowser in D.C. actually requested the National Guard. I'll get to that in a moment. Now, you would think that we'd be talking about 50, 100,000 migrants, right? Because every year now we're looking at 3 million. 2 million that are encountered by the Border Control, another million that just get in and nobody knows about it. Okay, this is 7,000 from each state, approximately. So this isn't like what the border states see every day. This is just 7,000 coming to D.C., 7,000 to Washington State. Now, California and New Mexico are also border states, but they don't care because they're run by Democrats, and Democrats support the open border, as do Mayor Bowser and the New York City Mayor, Eric Adams, although he's not quite as enthusiastic as Bowser is. Okay, so this is a volunteer program. Texas and Arizona aren't forcing people on buses to go to Washington or New York. They are signing people up who want to go, undocumented migrants. All expenses paid. You know, it's a fairly rough bus trip in the summer. That's not a real pleasant experience. But their food and everything's taken care. I don't know if they drive straight through. I suspect they do with a change of bus driver. But maybe they're staying in hotels, again, picked up by the federal government. So the reaction, as I said, from Bowser is send in the National Guard to, quote, help with migrant transportation, assisting like military personnel does with other humanitarian missions, including assisting Afghan refugees. That's what Bowser wants. So the Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, says no. Because that would set precedent. So even the Biden administration knows you can't be running National Guard troops all over the country to supervise undocumented migrants who shouldn't be here in the first place. Remember, the Afghan refugees were settled under the law. These people broke the law. So Austin says, we're not going to send you anything. In New York City, Adams wants money, as New York City always does, from the federal government, because he says that the migrants are overwhelming city homeless shelters. That may be true. I don't know. And they're terrible places, by the way. You're better off in Honduras than you are in a New York City homeless shelter, because they're full of criminals and drug addicts. And I mean, there's no supervision inside those places. If you got kids, you don't want to be in a homeless shelter. Okay, so the culture war is underway. The liberal places like New York City and Washington, D.C. are outraged that Texas and Arizona will be sending these people up. And the Biden administration responds this way. Go.
So, it's the latest stunt from the governor. Another stunt of busing desperate migrants across the country. And he's using them as a political, as a political ploy. I mean, this is what he's been doing, and it's shameful.
All right, what's shameful is the open border, but if you were an astute reporter, and there are very few of them at the White House, these are just, I don't know, it's shocking how bad the White House press corps is. You would say, well, you're doing the same thing, Biden administration. Corinne, you're doing the same thing. You put them on planes and fly them all over the country. So Texas and Arizona put them on buses. You put them on planes. You do the same thing. All right, but Adams doesn't scream about that, even though the planes are landing a few miles north of New York City. So, but, you're asking a press corps in the White House to actually think, and they have no interest in doing that. They just don't want to get in trouble with their corporate masters. Okay, so this is a moral dilemma as well. There are poor people. Now, it is their fault. They came here and crossed illegally, but the children aren't at fault because they don't know what, they're just going with their uncle or parents or wherever. All right, but it's a moral dilemma because you're using people who are desperately poor, it's true, okay, in a culture battle, a political battle, back and forth. Now, would I do it if I were the governor of Texas or Arizona? I would probably do it. Here's why. You've got to fight back against this Biden administration. You've got to embarrass him, President Biden. You've got to embarrass him by saying, look, our state's overrun. We can't afford this. So now you liberal bastions in New York City and Washington, D.C., who support the open border, hey, taste this. But more importantly, it raises the consciousness of the issue in front of everybody. Not everybody. I mean, there's so many people who don't pay attention, but anybody who's got a brain knows this is going on. So I would do it, but I would feel bad about doing it. Because I know that the people in the middle here are being used politically. And that's unsettling. But the greater good is to close that border down there, to stop the madness. That issue alone, take out inflation, anything else, that issue alone is enough to get rid of Biden and the Democrats. Just the open border issue, just one thing. That's how pernicious it is. And that's the memo. All right, President Biden is in Kentucky giving away more federal money. That's what he does wherever he goes. People get federal money. He doesn't have any responsibility. He believes in getting the debt down. He just money. Here it is. And Kentucky needs flood relief. They do. And California needs wildfire relief. And every state needs relief. This is nature. All right? And Biden shows up. He gives the money and he goes home. That's what it is. All right? The federal funds are going to be used for debris removal, emergency protective measures, on and on and on and on. Look, it's right the federal government does help people who can't help themselves in emergencies, but this is Biden's modus operandi. That's all he does is give away the money. And here we go with more money giveaways in the Inflation Reduction Act. So it passed the Senate. No Republicans voted for it. Every Democrat voted for it. And then Kamala Harris, vice president, breaks the tie. And so $433 billion Biden spending on trying to reduce inflation, which is dishonest. He doesn't care. This bill doesn't do anything to reduce inflation. All right? And if you don't believe me, read the report from the Wharton budget model at the University of Pennsylvania. It flat out says it's not going to have any impact on inflation. The Congressional Budget Office says that the legislation will reduce the deficit by $90 billion over 10 years. That's $9 billion a year. That's nothing. That's nothing. Okay, so if anybody thinks this is going to be reduce inflation, it's not. This is a ruse, as so much of Washington is. It's to pump money into alternative energy. It's a global warming play. That's what this is. And Bernie Sanders is outraged, not because it's $433 billion. He wanted $1.5 trillion. That's what Bernie wanted. Roll the tape.
I want to take a moment to say a few words about the so-called Inflation Reduction Act that we are debating this evening. And I say so-called, by the way, because according to the CBO and other economic organizations who have studied this bill, it will in fact have a minimal impact on inflation.
Now, at least Sanders is honest. He's one of the few Democrats that is honest. Sanders wants the economy to collapse and socialism to take capitalism's place. So he doesn't like this because it's only $433 billion. It's not $1.5 trillion, which is what Sanders wanted. Okay, so this bill is, I would not have voted for it because it's a ruse. It's not true. There's a couple of good things in the bill. Best is Medicare negotiating with the drug companies to bring the cost of prescription drugs down. That's good. I'm sorry, Big Pharma. Americans need lower drug costs. It's a life and death matter. So that's good. Bad, the worst part is it gives the IRS much more power to harangue Americans and go in and try to hurt you. There's a lot of money going to the IRS to hire more agents to audit people. Now, they're not going to be auditing a guy making 50, 60 grand. They're not going to be doing that. It's the small business people in the middle, from about 100 to 400,000. They're going to be targeted. I'm targeted because I make a lot of money. So I know, the target is on my back. That's why I have to pay all these lawyers and accountants to protect me. But I'm honest. My mantra to my people is pay it. Not worth it. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So, you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers, are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. All right, let's go to crime. So there's a recall effort in LA County, the nation's largest county, to get rid of the DA there, George Gascón. He is a George Soros disciple. Very simply, Gascón does not enforce the law. He took office on December 7, 2020. Since he's been in office, homicides are up in LA County 94% over 2019. Shootings up 54%. It's obvious. Okay, Gascón either doesn't know what he's doing or is simply not doing what he is sworn to do, enforce the law. It's one of the two. So the recall looks like it's going to happen. It looks like, because it's not in stone yet, they have the signatures. Now they have to verify them. The LA Times, which LA has local TV news, which is more tabloidish, and then they have the LA Times. That's it. All right, Orange County Register is much smaller. LA Times is appalled, not by Gascón and the rise in crime, violent crime, no, that there would be even a recall effort. Here's the quote editorial. The notion that a DA can make crime rise or fall over a period of time is absurd, unquote. Well, here's what's absurd, that the LA Times, which reports on the violent crime every day, doesn't think it's significant under Gascón. They want to keep him. Joining us now is a guy who follows this closely. Michael Levine is a PR maven and author of the book, Broken Windows, Broken Business, the revolutionary broken windows theory of the smallest remedies reap the biggest rewards. Okay, so tell the people, Michael, who don't live in Los Angeles, who don't know the LA Times, how crazy left this newspaper is.
Well, Bill, you have hit it on the head. Day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, the Los Angeles Times takes a position on every single matter that would not be considered liberal or even very liberal. It is considered far, far to the left. Woke left, I guess, is what common parlance has it written as. Now, I know the LA Times has nowhere near the power and influence it once did. When it was bought recently by a billionaire doctor, there was a great deal of hope that maybe the Times would restore to its former glory days, but it has not. It has followed a path, and it is so predictable that I'm afraid it's become largely, for many, irrelevant. Bill, I have a friend, a female friend in Los Angeles, an attorney, an African-American woman, who has 2 Bernie Sanders stickers on her car. That'll tell you a little bit about her credential. And even she said George Gascón is a bridge too far.
Okay, so 700,000 Angelenos in the nation's largest county have signed a recall petition to get rid of him. If it goes on the ballot, the LA Times will oppose. I don't know about local news. I don't even know if they cover this stuff anymore. I mean, they cover the grisly crimes, but I don't know if there's any editorial point of view. Do you believe that the people in LA County would throw him out like the people of San Francisco threw out Bowden?
Listen, prophecy is dubious business, but it would appear from what I'm seeing in Los Angeles, whether I'm talking to Democrats, I have many Democratic friends, I have some Republican friends, I have some nonpartisan friends, and I have some friends who frankly don't give a damn about anything other than whether the Dodgers win. And universally what I'm hearing is this cannot continue. And so I would say, though I'm not a betting man, that
he'd be
like
out.
San Francisco. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know yet. I'll have to analyze.
There is a rage and a disgust, not only about crime, in areas in which traditionally had not been as decayed. There's a feeling
it's seeping in everywhere. But unlike
everywhere.
San Francisco, where that city is small and compact, you can see it every day. LA County is spread out all over the place, and it's primarily working class people. I mean, Hollywood Enclave is just that, a small area which gets all the headlines. Most people in LA, they just work for a living. They got to put up with the terrible traffic, with the pollution, with the woke stuff. And here's another thing. The LA City Council, again, far left, they want to pass a law that would require all LA hotels to accept homeless vouchers. You could not turn down anybody to stay in your hotel, even if the person were deranged. Okay? This is what the next thing is in the LA Board of Supervisors. This is what they're putting forth. I mean, this is just madness. So you ruin your business because the law would force you to accept people who were dangerous, right?
That's right. What that would mean, what you just explained to your audience, Bill, is that if you owned the Bel Air Hotel, a beautiful hotel in Los Angeles, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you would be forced to call City Hall and reveal to City Hall how many remaining rooms you had that evening. If you had any remaining rooms, you would be forced to take homeless people into your hotel being paid for by reduced vouchers.
Yeah, by those taxpayers. The
That
taxpayers
is
paying for it.
correct.
Right.
That's correct.
It's
Now,
staggering.
Right. Now, one thing I did want to mention to you, Bill, and this is something I think you've mentioned in the past. I've noticed a difference is, I'm a media expert and I observe media trends for a living and hopefully do it assiduously. I have no horse in the race. I'm just trying to see what's true. And the difference that I've noticed rather profoundly is that conservatives generally regard liberals as either foolish or naive. Liberals generally regard conservatives as evil and selfish. Now, that's a rather significant difference. And no one on the right that I'm aware of is calling for the death of AOC or Nancy Pelosi. But I see prominent Democrats repeatedly calling for brutal death of numerous Republicans. Now, that's a rather profound difference. And if you tell people they're wrong, and here's why they're wrong, they may or may not listen. But if you tell them they're evil, that they're unredeemable, they're probably not going to respond too well. And that is, I think, causing some of the dissension in our country.
Well, no doubt. And that goes into the culture war. But the rise of hatred on the right is palpable. It is, Michael. All right. Thank you very much for the analysis out there. You're our LA guy, and I hope we check back with you soon. Does inflation and the looming prospect of recession have you worried about your savings? Endowments, pension funds, and the ultra-wealthy have been quietly investing in farmland for decades, and it's paying off for them. Farmland returns have averaged 11% per year for the last 30 years, even despite the dot-com crash, Great Recession, and COVID-19. When inflation goes up, so too does farmland value. Until recently, farmland investments have mostly been accessible only to institutions and elites. Acre Trader breaks this barrier. Acre Trader makes it easy to invest in thoroughly reviewed farm offerings, quickly and securely. Their team of agriculture experts does all the work while you collect passive income from your farmland investment. So put your money in a time-tested asset by visiting acretrader.com, or you can call 888-958-1470 and tell them O'Reilly sent you. That's acretrader.com. So here is a final thought of the day. I get tons of mail on conspiracy theories. It's an industry. So you go on the internet, they have this big headline, you go in and they weave this conspiracy. People made millions of dollars off the Kennedy assassination conspiracy theories. That's why I wrote Killing Kennedy, and knock all that out. Okay, I'm going to read you 5 letters to give you an example. First one, John in Arizona. I said many years ago, our water supply is the least protected system we have. Now it looks like someone is putting polio virus in New York City water. No, they're not. All right, what happened was a few people, very few, got polio, and in their area, bacteria seeped out from them. But nobody's putting any virus. That would be impossible. Second one, Sterling in California. Bill, just a crazy thought. Do you think Biden's handlers are falsely stating he has COVID to keep him secluded from the public? I do not. That would be impossible. You can't do that at that level. Third, Bob, Pasadena, California. There's a conspiratorial video circulating that discusses a scenario where the vice president is encouraged to resign, benefiting her big time, as replaced by Gavin Newsom. Biden then resigns due to health reasons. Newsom is elevated to the presidency without one vote being cast. Insane. That's all I can say. But people believe it. James, Georgia. Bill, I keep hearing there is a bill to cut $300 billion from Medicare. No, there is no such bill. All right, it would never happen. Tom, Yorktown, Virginia. Bill, not usually a conspiracy theorist, but after the arrest of the individual who said he wanted to kill one of the justices of the Supreme Court, I think there may be a loon or two who may try to kill a justice in order for President Biden to appoint a liberal justice. Your thought? Look, I don't speculate on that. Why would I speculate on violence? And you know, our Supreme Court justices are now very well protected by the U.S. Marshals. Okay, I'm not going to speculate about it. Anybody could do anything at any time. But the important thing is, it is a total waste of your time to buy into conspiracy theories. If you see solid evidence that there's polio being poured into the New York City water supply, send it to me. All right? But if you see no evidence, just BS, and that's all this industry is. This conspiracy industry, all BS. And news commentators do it all the time. They do it all the time. I'm proud to say in my entire career, I've never done it. Not once. I debunked them. If I see a situation that I believe is real, I'll get to the bottom of it with facts. Not, well, maybe this could, well, I saw on this network, this person said, no. All right? So I'm looking out for you. That's not a conspiracy. Don't waste your time. All right? I can't ever remember a conspiracy in this country that's worked. It's just way too much. All this anonymous source garbage, this is all conspiracy stuff. How did Russian collusion work out? Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News. We'll see you tomorrow. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family-owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no-obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at LoneStarTransfer.com.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.